Hi, today I want to show you what query parameters are and how you can use query parameters inside of Toddle. So normally we all know that when we want to store data, we store it in variables. And if we want to have that variable persist, we can use local storage for that. So we can store it in variables. That's how we store data. But if we want to reload the page, then we'll just, use persist in storage, and then, where we just use local storage or session storage, and, we just have that in there. But sometimes you want to share a link of a website and then have certain data pre-populated based on parameters that are in that link. And today I want to show you the principle of working with exactly this method, and we call that query parameters. And I want to show you how you can use them in Toddle to build pretty cool stuff. So let's get right started. So now inside of the Toddle editor, we just want to have a very basic example to get an understanding how query parameters work and how we register them. So what we want to do in here is we want to click outside of the canvas first, and we want to go on the page. We'll click on the page and we'll see here this option for query. That's where we can add our query parameter. So we click on add query, and the name of that query parameter, for example, could be value, right? It's a pretty generic name, but let's say that would be our name. And the test value would be test value, just like that. Now what we can do in here is we can add a heading, just like that. And we want to go to our background actually, and we want to make it a background color, background color white, so that we can see it. And in here, we'll double click inside of the heading so we can make it dynamically. And then we go on FX and we'll bind it to our URL parameters with value. Now, what we're doing is, as you can see, if I go to this URL and I'll add question mark value equals hey, this will say hey. And when I share this link with a specific parameter, for example, to my iPhone, let's do that. Let's put that in my iPhone. As you can see, it's saying hey too, because that parameter, because that URL contains this dynamic parameter that is then being shown on the web application, right? As you can see, we got that parameter at the end in here. So that's the idea of how those things work and how we set up those things. Now, there are a little bit more, there are other examples too. So for example, we have a button in here. So let's add a button and let's call this set param, right? And let's give it a gap of 1 rem so it looks a little bit nicer. But we got a button that will set the parameter. Now, how will we do that? So what we could do, we could go on the set button, we can go on event on click, and we'll be able to now go in here, and you see this, you're in this URL section. This is how we're able to update the parameter. So we click in this URL section, and let's update this, for example, to something hard-coded. Let's update this to something saying updated. Very creative, I know. But if I click on here, you'll see it'll say updated. And if I share it, right, and I click on set parameter, we see that the parameter is being set to being updated. Now, what we though see is if I reload the page inside of Toddle, just like that, I have a little issue. In Toddle, I get my test value. In real life, there is no test value. If I open the page, there's no test value. Maybe you want to have an initial value though. What you could do is you could create a life cycle to set the parameter on page load to already, an initial parameter. So we go on life cycle, on load, and we go to the URL section and set the value to initial. Just like that. So now when I go on the page, I'll see the initial value. So that we have it, similar for across testing, I then also like to go to the page and make the test value initial so that I have initial and initial here. Now, only if you need an initial value, you could also then just have the value being added using that function. As you can see, in my query parameter, we have initial. When I share that link or open it in a different tab, just like that, we see we got initial, right? Now, the only downside is of setting the initial value is if I make this test, it will still make it initial because we have it loaded. So we want to add actually a condition on our lifecycle to load it to only set it to initial if there is no parameter. So we can go on plus and we add a switch in here. That's how we make conditional logic inside of Toddle. So we'll look at that condition, we'll look at value, and then we'll go at size, and then we do greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, we'll just don't do anything. And if it's not greater than 0, we'll set the initial value. Now, with that in mind, as you can see, if the parameter is not there, it'll create the parameter. And if the parameter, is already something else, it'll use that parameter and not override it. And then if I click on set parameter, I would set the parameter. We see this value changes, and you see this also updated. It's like a variable that is in the URL. And as you can see, Toddle itself is using this principle as well. That's how they store some data. You see right panel, and that's how you make those query parameters. Mode, design, they do it too. And this is why when you copy the Toddle link and open it in a new tab, some of the styling, some of your configurations are already set. And that's pretty cool when you share links with friends without having them logged in. You could pass like that. That's how Zoom does it. Zoom passes query parameters for the passwords of Zoom meetings inside of the URL, so that then will be used to log in, to have like a direct link to log into the conference. Now, you shouldn't do that for logging into people's accounts, but you could. And this is also how things like Google Auth work. This is how, some SSO things, single sign-on work. They heavily work with query parameters, so it's good to know how to get query parameters. Let's say you would work with Google Cloud though, and what Google would be doing. Here's an example. Let's make another query parameter that is registerable. And we could make this token, right? And I will put a random secret token in here, right? And then we'll go in here and we'll add like a little text. And that little text will show the token, right? This is what we would do for things, again, like Google Auth, like Social Auth. What Social Auth would be doing is we would give it our URL, right? And it would add a query parameter, for example, for token equals, and then it would make something like EY and then something that looks like this, right? And now with registering those parameters on the page in Toddle, we see that we have a direct way to get access to that token, and then we could use that to send it to the backend, make an API call, and return an access token that we can use to set it as a cookie and authenticate the user. So that's really how query parameters work, how they can help you inside of Toddle. If you need to observe, though, the href, so the URL, there's also another cool thing that I want to show you. So there's also the possibility to just have a formula for current URL, right? And then you can add a formula for parse URL, and then you'll see that you'll be getting like the host name, the search parameters as well. You'll be getting the path, you'll be getting that. But looking at that is a little bit, limited, because if you use the Toddle editor, you'll see these parameters for the Toddle editor and not for the page in the Toddle editor. But if you need to do more complex things, and let's actually, just so that I can show you that in text, let's add an NoCode in here. As you can see, we also have the ability to get like the host name, to get, the initial value here, the value initial, the path, the protocol, the port, the origin. That may be interesting when you want to send some things, to the backend or something, or doing more complex things. And as you can see, that updates in real time. But I don't think this should be used for looking at the query parameters. Toddle's initial solution is pretty cool. But yeah, that's how you can receive data through query parameters and then work with them inside of Toddle. And that's also how you can then set query parameters to then have links that, if people open them, already have a specific state set, because kind of like the variable or some of the data is already in the link, so it gets shareable, and the experience or the state is shareable as well to people that, you know, your users may want to share their web application with. So thank you so much for watching. And if you want to learn more about query parameters, if you want to build better applications inside of Toddle, I would highly suggest you to go to nocodeprocode.com and join the community, join the membership. It's the best place to learn and build faster in Toddle and Xano. We got daily office hours where you get help if you're stuck at something. We got pre-made Xano snippets and databases for you to build everything faster, including payments integration, including a bunch of things. We got exclusive tutorials with, you know, edge cases that we don't really talk about on YouTube. We got a whole component library of pre-built components like Stripe elements, like super fancy file uploaders, like Lemon Squeezy, like we got a bunch. Like I don't even know what we have on there. We got so many things on there. Let me show you. Let's go to help.nocodeprocode.com and, you know, let's just look through it. We got a bunch of things in there. So you know, we got the office hours, we got Stripe payments in here, we got all the office hours, we got like a course on how to build a SaaS in 1 hour, some of my techniques on how to do that. We got a debugging in Toddle mini course. Then some people have sometimes questions about things that were in there. We got a get and set course in Toddle, which, you know, advanced JSON manipulations. Then, you know, there's like a tool coming where you can share private packages for members. We got the office hour recordings. You know, the office hours, we have them every day. They're recorded, so you can, you know, go on the search bar and look for example sports betting API, and you'll see, you know, everything that we have talked about ever about sports betting, because they're all transcribed with AI. So you go to the part of the video that you like. And then we have if else then mini course. We got a Toddle PDF file reader template, more office hours. We got a Toddle compiler that allows you to compile your things in Toddle together. We got a tool to build Chrome extensions in Toddle with all native functionalities, getting their browser history. You know, we got a bunch of stuff. We got Xano real-time template, and you know, it's an infinite scroll. Like we got a Toddle Touch Swipe plugin, a GSAP plugin, compliant fonts course, more office hours. You know, we got a web scraper course and a template, and you know, we got a bunch of things in here. Again, it's an infinite scroll. You see my scroll bar is always reloading. I think we have over 200 posts in there already. So we have a lot. So if you want to join nocodeprocode.com, and then we also have the boilerplate, which is kind of like, think of a SaaS pre-built, but without the AI APIs. And then you just go in there and, you know, add, you know, it's like 80% is done and you add the last 20%. So you save a lot of time and repetitive work. We got the boilerplate, it's called the frame, and it's basically everything you need. And then we got step-by-step courses, you saw them. And yeah, we got a bunch of content, and we add new content daily. So I would love to see you inside of that community. If you want to join, just go and get access today, make a little video, talk about yourself. It's a little application process, but just for now, it's just that, you know, I would be overwhelmed if even 50 people join in one day. So we're just trying to, you know, only have serious people join, and that's why we have an application process. Because if you record a 10-second awkward video about yourself talking why you want to join, I assume that you're serious about joining, and you know, that's what we want. That's what we want to make sure. So yeah, that's reasoning behind that. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that. I hope that you learned a lot from it. And if you want to join, the link to join is in the video description and in the pinned comment. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your support and watching that video. And see you tomorrow. Bye. I just forgot what I wanted to say, but I wanted to say see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.